All right. We are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And my name is Limor. I'm the Director of Mentorship at Power to Fly. And today, I'm honored to have Corinne Jean-Tolepe, who is an executive and leadership coach and mentor. And I'll let Corinne introduce herself in a minute. And today, we're going to talk about the gift of wisdom, staying relevant by sharing our knowledge and wisdom at work. Hi, Corinne. How are you today?
Hello, everybody. I'm going to share now my screen because some of it is going to be relevant. Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I understand that some of you rather not put your camera on. What we will come to in a minute is you're welcome, though, to keep your microphone on and to interact. Like, I rather have an interaction during the hour that we have to spend together. However, if you rather be quiet and communicate by chat, that's also very nice. How do I do this? How do I move this? Oh, yeah. So the agenda for today, we're going to start with you. What would be very nice, as Limo was mentioning before, is that if you could put in a chat your name, first name, where you are, connecting from. And also, for those of you who feel comfortable, tell us how you're doing. We've all been going through some challenges in the past year and a half. So you can write down 1 if you really feel not so great, and 10 if you will great. That will give us a bit of an idea of the atmosphere, the mood. Like I was saying, not being able to see you is a bit kind of a challenge for me to assess the audience. So if you don't mind, and I know Limo also encourage everyone to share your LinkedIn profile if you feel like it, because that's going to give us also everybody a chance to network. This is one thing that I've learned with Power to Fly is the power to network online. So we have, where is the chat here? The chat is here. Well, I'm going to ask Limo to, if you don't mind, kind of monitor the chat. So do we have names and countries or cities and moods shared at the moment, or nobody's doing that?
So far, Marta is joining us from Poland. Sorry, Marta, I cannot pronounce the city name. If you want to say that out loud, please do.
No problem. It's Bydgoszcz.
Okay.
Welcome, Marta. And we have Eliana from Greece.
Hello.
Participating from UK near Gatwick. Hi, Eliana, welcome.
Hello.
Nice to see you. And I don't think we met before, Eliana. Now, Stephanie, where are you connecting from?
I'm near Gatwick in UK, England.
Oh, so that's Eliana. And Stephanie?
I'm from Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh, nice. Lovely city.
And we have Lily from China. So we are fully international today.
So then we have Carre 0001. I don't think Carre is your name. Is it Karen?
Yeah.
Okay, Karen. We have almost the same name. Where are you connecting from, Karen? Hello? Hello? Okay.
So Karen is from Redlands, California.
Wow. And Monica, where are you connecting from? Okay. Feel free to, communicate anything to chat, and Limo is going to monitor that for me since I rather focus on you and presentations. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Karine. The full name is Corinne Jean-Tolepe, and I like to introduce myself as a European citizen with a French passport who has been living in Prague for the past 26 years. And I have my main activity, as Limo kindly says, to do executive and leadership coaching. And I also introduced horses in my coaching about 5 years ago. And I also participate in the Power to Fly mentoring program. Limo kindly invited me to join the team. And any other question you will have about me, please feel free to ask in a chat. So the topic of today is wisdom. What I would like to ask you, and again, you can just, open your unmute and tell us live, or you can just type it. What is your definition, understanding of wisdom? Because like any philosophical topic, and it's a bit abstract, we all have different way to perceive this. So anybody would like to, again, you can say it on mute or you can just write in the chat. Hopefully some of you will have thought about this, or I should ask you what motivated you to join today's session. Hopefully the word wisdom attracted you. Eliana?
Yeah, I was trying to write down what is wisdom for me. I think wisdom is basically when you know how to act, when to act, and know what's going to happen. It's a bit of my kind of short term.
Well, it's very nice. Can you take over from me? You almost get the answer straight. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Marta, you have a different or added, you want to add something?
Yes, I've actually put it in the chat.
Okay.
For me, what stuck with me was the definition using a tomato. So knowledge is when you know that a tomato is not a vegetable, it's a fruit. But wisdom is to know not to put it in a fruit salad. So basically, yes, to be wise, it is to know how to conduct yourself, how to act in different circumstances. I concur with what Eliana said.
Yeah, because one of the big challenges is very often you get great philosophers that are going to discuss the topic forever. However, at the end of the day, unless you apply your knowledge and kind of test it on concrete situation, there is little benefit of having all that knowledge in your head. Now, again, you're welcome to interrupt. You're welcome to tell me that you don't agree. It's okay, I'm French, I won't get offended. And you're welcome to say that you would like to add something to the discussion. So I really like Eliana's definition, which is to know, to do the right thing at the right time, and I will just add the right way. But it's pretty much the same. And for those of you who are a bit aware of the classical philosopher like Aristotle, I don't know if I'm saying it the right way for different languages.
Aristoteles.
That's the way to do it. You know, he kind of look at it from pretty much the same way, which is action, reason, and concern for what is good and bad for human being.
So Corinne, we have another comment from Carre 0001. Wisdom is knowledge gained from both experiences, intuition, and learned acquired knowledge learned from various means.
Perfect. That's exactly what it is. Again, it depends how you phrase it, but that's also what it is. Thank you, Karen, right? It's the name is Karen, so I don't, because it's hard for me to call you Karen 0001. So
yes, Karen, fine.
Thank you. Now, anybody would like to add something on this topic? Because, you know, I mean, I think, again, the idea is not to figure out all the different sides of wisdom, it's just to agree on something that works for all of us. But the next question is, how do we acquire it? I mean, you already kind of mentioned a lot of it. I just wanted to share with you this quote, which I thought was kind of interesting. To acquire knowledge, one must study, but to acquire wisdom, one must observe. Now, observation in many ways is also perceived. You can just look and think, but it's also about being able to observe and to pay attention to what you do, what others do, and make some analysis of this. You know, sometimes we interpret, sometimes we get some conclusion, but it is about what, for me, it's observing what works and what doesn't work. And again, the whole idea is to apply, you know, we all speak about best practice at work. I'm sure most of you, you know, can I also briefly, if you feel comfortable, put in a chat what field of industry you're in. I know Marta is a translator. Lily is, I forgot, more in sales. And then Eliana, do you want to share with us what you do?
I work for Thermo Fisher. We make medical devices.
So I'm sure you're aware of the best practice, right?
Yes, you learn, though, the thing in research, you know the best practice, but you have to improvise, always improvise.
But you have to test it. What I'm trying to say is that it's not just knowledge.
No,
because
of course not.
If, you know, knowledge is nice, and this is also one of the challenges, and I think the big, you know, reminder of what's been happening in the past 2 years is that many of us, especially our politicians, they have lots of knowledge, they just don't know what, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm kind of jumping the gun in, but I feel that many of them didn't exactly use it the way that might be the best way all the time. So as some of you already mentioned, very often also we acquire wisdom through challenges. I think Karen mentioned that, right? Karen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You want to give us a bit of either illustration or example or something?
Well, sometimes like in software products where I'm in, you know, things start out with our standard licensing standard ways, and then new knowledge comes in and makes you realize that our standard isn't going to work.
Okay.
And we have to reinvent things on the fly and find a way to make it work. And we're going up against a deadline to release the product, and we have to really, you know, brainstorm and go through some challenges to find out how we can get this to work the way it's supposed to very quickly.
Now, how does wisdom comes into play into this process?
Well, one, you've got to keep in mind the big picture for the user. And that can be based on how does it work now? Because you need to put that in. But then also experiences that we've had where things have not worked, you know, and pull that in as well. So that wisdom from the past of what's worked and not worked has to be brought into how you go forward, as well as thinking of new ways to do things. So listening well to everyone who in this brainstorming may be seeing it with different eyes because they weren't there for all those past experiences.
Very nicely said. I just wrote down part of this and I will bring it back again later on in the presentation, because what you said just is going to help me bridge the gap of another point. Is that okay with you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Anybody else that's on the, Lily, can you speak, or do you still have technical issues? You need to unmute. Is it working? Can you speak?
Yeah, I can speak. Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to share with us regarding wisdom at work?
Yes. So actually, I think normally people observe work by the reading book or talk with people. So for me, I like to cooperate with people and get new idea during this kind of cooperation. Yeah,
Okay.
it is my past experience. So during this cooperation, you will have a new idea or new solution for the problem you are facing. It is my way.
Okay, that sounds very nice. Now, Stephanie and Monica, are you connected or you just observing?
Observing.
You don't want to participate verbally at all, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now that we kind of, yeah, yes,
yeah.
Go
If I can share another point, quite funny actually. We have a saying in Polish that literally goes, "A Pole is wiser after the event." Pole is wiser after the harm is done.
What is wiser?
Who is wiser? A Pole, so a Polish person is wiser.
Oh.
Yeah, is wiser after the event, after the harm's done. And whenever someone learns something, you know, the hard way, whenever someone screws up and then, you know, takes a lesson from it,
Yeah, but
we always say that saving.
The challenge is,
Yeah.
and how many of us have, and I like your expression, screw up, and not necessarily learn from this, because that's the other issue that we're going to cover. Is like many of us, I mean, maybe I'm the only one, make a few mistakes. And sometimes I always say it's okay to make the mistake once, so you know that you don't know. It's okay to
fool me once.
Twice, so then you really you know, check that you learn your lesson. I always say if you make it 3 times, then something is not working in your, you know, hard disk, software, something. It's all a matter of perspective. But yes, very often we make mistake when we don't know, hopefully.
Yeah.
The question is, do we learn from the mistakes? Now, what are the key ingredients? I shouldn't kind of show you yet. What do you think are the key ingredients of wisdom before I share with you what I kind of pull out of some of those thinking? What do we need for, we can already say that. I just want to make it a bit more structured. So key ingredients of wisdom, you mentioned it already.
I think
How do we know somebody is wise?
I think a combination of,
I think time as well and age. Normally people, when they age, they know more than people that are younger.
Yeah, we're going to come to that. Thank you, Limo. Okay, what else? How do we, what kind of characteristic of, behavior that the wise person exhibit? The number one characteristic.
The way they believe and judge things and how they see them.
Okay, I will phrase it the way I would, it's good judgment. Because
Exactly.
a lot of people, make judgment. It doesn't mean that this is and again, it's always difficult to say right or wrong. That's what it's like, something positive, something constructive, the good judgment in order to kind of go to the wider good. So good judgment is definitely a characteristic that, yes, like Limo says, very often comes with hopefully experience. But like we were just saying before, some people make the same mistake over and over again. And obviously it doesn't click in.
It doesn't.
Okay,
Yes, I think it has a lot to do with how our cognition works, how we are perceiving and how we are applying value judgments. So it has a lot to do with our intuition, either introverted intuition or extroverted intuition, and our logic that we apply to it.
Exactly this. The intuition is another key element. Now, intuition is a bit different because, again, it depends how you, it's like an insight, but not something that it's a reactive insight, because sometimes we confuse like an instinct with intuition. Intuition is pretty much knowing what to do, when to do, in a way that works for us and everybody else. That's my way of looking at intuition. Because if you just have a reaction and that it doesn't work for you, then it's more like something that's not supporting you. So intuition is definitely another benefit of wisdom, or what they call genuine insight. Like you just know. Now, obviously, like we said, it works. Like one of the classical example is about knowledge, and in that sense, I would say wisdom is driving a car. The story is being used in many training. Kids don't know they don't know how to drive. Okay, and then at some point they know they don't know. Okay, and then they kind of start to learn, but they don't have that that intuition that many of us after hours of driving will have when we see a car coming. We just know, and I don't know about you, but very often I avoid accidents just because I have kind of an inner sense that tells me stop or Karen, and where is it coming from? Is it wisdom? Is it just experience? But the more you do something, the more you acquire this kind of inner sense that helps you make better decisions just because of that experience. So intuition, definitely Martha is right. Anything else? You cannot mention it. Now try to stretch outside of your own.
Good observations.
Yes. And what does good observation gives you? Observation of what?
Being realistic.
Yeah. What
clarity.
else?
Clarity, clear mind.
Yes. What else?
What's actually happening?
With whom?
With your environment and people around you.
Exactly.
Surroundings.
So one of the really important part of wisdom is in some ways having a sense. Now, again, it depends how you call that, of what is called officially emotional intelligence. What I prefer to do it is like a good grasp of how people tick. Understanding people, because also it's about, for example, we all are from different countries, culture, background. And as a French, I can tell you, but I think the Israeli have the same characteristic. Interrupting someone is not rude. Interrupting someone is a way to, and the Greek, I guess, are the same way, You know,
in England, sorry to interrupt you, but in England, it's very rude.
Exactly. Hold on. I
They
will get
find
you
it so rude, and I do it all the time, and they consider it very rude, me doing that to them.
Exactly. Because, you know, from the Latin culture, it's a way, and I love that American lady actually told me that it's a way to enhance the conversation. Now, obviously, if you change the topic, it's not nice, okay? If you tell me about your job and I say, oh, by the way, I had this great lunch yesterday, it's like, that's not exactly interrupting. But if you tell me you have a great lunch and I say, oh yeah, tell me more. So but you know, so having a bit of emotional intelligence or empathy, it's knowing that, you know, in your culture and your natural point is to interrupt, to pretty much make the discussion going, and knowing that the Brits, knowing that I think the Polish, I don't know, do Polish accept being interrupted as part of the communication or not?
Oh, it depends. It really depends. Some folks, especially the older generation, have this notion that you shouldn't interrupt somebody who's older, somebody who has a higher social status than yourself. You should let them finish their train of thought, and then maybe you should speak. And as for me, you know me that I'm notorious for butting in. But yes, it actually depends on the social context. Among peers, among people who are friends, co-workers, etc., it's pretty acceptable, and it's considered reinforcing, giving a feedback when you do that.
Karen, are you American? Are you American, Karen?
Yes, but I've lived in England and was born in Spain, lived in Panama.
So how do you feel about being interrupted in the conversation that, you know, goes into the same direction as what we're speaking about?
I find here that most of the time it's considered rude also. Like you say, I kind of feel like it's supportive communication, but I found out that from the way others express themselves that it is not liked.
For me, it was a shock. I lived in New York for 8 years when I was a bit younger. And then I had an American partner who is from, you know, New Hampshire. And I never thought that interrupting him would be that rude. I said, but I'm trying to understand. So yes, the American, I guess, are more like the Brits, at least some of them. Depends again if you're east, west, north, or south. But yeah, so the part of the wisdom is knowing that you would like to contribute and it might not be perceived the best way.
Exactly, so yes.
It's part of the wisdom that you acquired after, you know, looking at people. And I had a discussion like this. There was 4 of us, you know, over dinner, 1 German, 1 lady from Asia, and 1 Greek from Cyprus. And the Greek from Cyprus and I just, and then at the end, you know, we kind of looked at the other ladies, and the German said, well, you didn't give me a chance to speak. And the Greek and I looked at each other thinking, but why did you not jump in?
Yeah. I think that some cultures, I mean, they don't like to interrupt, but they also don't feel comfortable to interrupt. You know, there is also a skill of knowing how to kind of chime in a conversation. And some people maybe that are coming from cultures that it's not polite, they don't know how to do it.
I agree. And I know Lily in China, what is the tradition? Interrupting or not interrupting people? Is it wise? That I wouldn't think so.
I will. Yeah, no, it's okay. Actually, we try to Chinese style. We try to find the timing part. We try to wait, and if they're between 2 seconds, if there is 1 or 2 seconds, we'll say sorry to interrupt, this kind of style.
Yeah, if you meet a Greek or a French, Israeli, I don't know, you better kind of jump into the half second available.
It's true, yeah.
I've learned the hard way, especially with the Czechs, because the Czechs also don't like to be interrupted. So yeah, that's another kind of key ingredient, is to be sensitive, you know, to understand how people tick, because now it used to be a bit more easy. Generation had some rules, like Martha said, the older, the younger, then some culture had some rules. Now that we have this global world and these online meetings, it's a bit more complicated. So it's just a matter of observing, like Karen said, and just be sensitive and said, okay, maybe I should shut up right now. Otherwise, they're going to find me unbearable. So here we go. I'm going to change. It's not the full ingredient, but this is good judgment, intuition, empathy. Now, this is when I'm going to go back to what Karen said, okay, which is connecting the dots. And Karen, if you recall what you said, is wisdom from the past has to be brought to move forward. Did you say something like this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the idea is to see how do we use it, how do we share it, and kind of help each other with this. How many of us, that's for me was a great kind of reminder from the pandemic, took the time during the pandemic to really assess a lot of different parts of yourself and your life. Anybody took a chance to do that? In a normal life, we usually don't take the time unless there is a big crisis. But how many of you took some time in the past year and a half to think about who you are, what you know, knowledge, what you can do, know-how, who do you know? Anybody has done any one of those assessments? Eliana kind of shakes her head.
Just a bit, because to be honest with you, I was working all the way through to the pandemic, and I felt like I realized like people around, a lot of people where I live, they were not working, and a lot of people lost a job. So in a way I learned and I realized how important it is to have a job. And if I did not work, I would go crazy. I wouldn't be able to stay at home and just being furloughed like the British government did. So I think for me, I just learned, I get perceptive about how important it is to be active.
Okay, now how do you apply wisdom to that understanding?
I think it's like when people nag all the time, like, oh, this and that. I think the wisdom that you would put here is to appreciate what you have and what you can not have and what you can lose any minute of your life. That is, for me, maybe, if I can say, that made me a bit to be reflective to myself and in my life, if I can say that.
Okay, now anybody else would like to, Karen, since you're the one who came from wisdom from the past to broader forward, how do you use, because it's connecting the dot kind of, what did we do? And how do we use that for the next step? Now, the next step can be tomorrow, the next step can be next month. It doesn't have to be like 10 years down the road. I think, I don't know, Limo, what you think, but this kind of, question, which is, how do you see yourself in 5 years? Is not very popular at the moment, is it? Do people still ask this question?
I don't know. I think they do.
Yeah, I don't think people ask that too much anymore, because a lot of people do about changes in 2 years. They're more of a 2-year plan, it seems, especially younger people,
So since you're the one who came up with this very nice explanation, how do you connect the dot?
Well, I've had a variety of jobs and I work with a lot of people, and because a lot of what we do is complex, you have to always be engaging with the people, and you learn their personalities and what is the best way to communicate with certain people. Some people, it's like, just give me the bullets. That's all I want. And other people, it's give me the background, give me what you're trying to achieve. What do you propose as a way to do it? So like you said, learning how people tick. I've had bosses that have been very difficult. And I've had bosses that have been very supportive and feel like you can really connect with, And so taking that knowledge just to keep finding a better way to work with everyone. And also even my family and siblings, that we all have different personalities. That's okay. Try and work with what works with them and how they tick, and not against the grain, so to speak,
That's That's a very nice way to phrase it, because it's exactly this. I mean, instead of banging our heads against the wall thinking, why the hell do they do this and why they're not going to be that way, it's just learning to accept people, at least the one we have to interact with, either because they're family or because they're colleagues, and find the best way to interact and have a collaboration, cooperation, or even a relationship sometime.
Yeah, if you think and go with the path of least resistance, it's more productive, less stressful, less anxiety. If you think about, I need to go to this person for this, and then you go, they're a type red personality. They just want the bullets. They don't want chatter, then just edit yourself and it'll be a quick interaction. They get what they need, you get what you need, even if that's not your normal way. I'm the type, I like to know, okay, tell me the background. Okay, now what's the problem? Now, what do you propose? Have we ever done anything else before? But a lot of people don't like all that information. They're like, well, I'm here, so I already know that stuff, So yeah, so I have found that working that way has made things less stressful. Now that I just try to tailor things a little instead of just operating how I normally do, just putting a little bit more thought, pause a moment, and communicate the way that person likes to receive things.
I'm tempted to say it's very wise. Now I can see that we have a newcomer on the chat, Yvonne. I saw that. Are you still there? Hello, hello. Am I still on?
You are on, and we have Yvonne joining us. I don't know if she's.
I'm trying to get the chat here, so I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Hello, Yvonne. How are you?
My computer. I'm well, and yourself?
Where are you calling from?
New Jersey.
Oh, very nice. Did you hear any of what we shared before, or do you need a bit of a wrap up?
I just joined, so I haven't heard anything as yet.
Okay, so I will ask a quick question. What attracted you in the topic? Since it's about wisdom, maybe you want to share something with us about your understanding of wisdom and how do you think we acquire it? If you feel
I believe we acquire wisdom through experience.
Okay, you're right on track.
Yeah, so I know through my life experience, I've learned a lot of what I should do, what I shouldn't do.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
What are the key ingredients of wisdom?
I think once we learn, I think we should also share. So anything that I've learned, I enjoy sharing with others.
Okay, we're going to get there right after this. So you're right on track. See, I'm going to show you what we had. And by the way, Limor will kind of give access to the PowerPoint afterwards. So you're welcome to look at it later on. But what we discuss is that, wisdom is based on good judgment, knowing what to do at the right time, the right way. Do I make any sense? Is she still there? Yvonne?
My computer locked up again. I'm having some computer issues. It says my internet is unstable. So that's what took me so long to join you guys today.
Okay, so good judgment, does it make any sense?
Yes.
Genuine insight, intuition?
Absolutely.
And then we're talking about empathy, which is, as Karen was very nicely describing, learning to accept people and knowing how to communicate and how to, in some way that will get the best of them, but in a very respectful, considerate way. Karen, interrupt me if I'm kind of paraphrasing your idea differently than what you would like.
No, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay. And then being able to connect the dots, because at the beginning, Karen was mentioning that part of wisdom is learning from the past in order to, move forward. And again, I'm making it a bit simpler. So this is where we are, connecting the dots. So the question is, how do you guys connect the dots?
Could I chime in and go back to what Karen said?
Anytime, go for it.
Karen referred to type red personality. So I guess that comes from true colors. Am I right, Karen? Or did you mean anything else?
Did we lose Karen?
I am afraid so. But funny as it may sound, I've actually became interested in personality types, typologies, MBTI, all that stuff, right after I joined my current company. And I found myself as pretty much the only extrovert among introverted types. And not only that, among introverted intuitives. So it took me a while to arrive at a similar to Karen's conclusion, that you have to develop some efficient methods of communicating with them. It took some getting used to, but for now, I think we're getting along smoothly. So it's a matter of communication styles, communication preferences. Some are direct, some are informative. Some like to be filled in more than others. Some are like, okay, so do you just want to vent, or you want me to give you a quick solution?
Yeah, but Martha, you're absolutely right. The challenge is, again, as both of you are mentioning, it depends how to apply it. Knowing that somebody are introvert, extrovert, red, blue, yellow, or green, it's only beneficial if we adjust to the type. Right, Karen?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, we like you were just saying, Marta, we didn't, I think there was in our department, there was only 2 red, the very, outspoken, very direct, just give me the bullet, I don't need to know the story. And then the majority were blue and yellow, more, I need to know the background, I mean, they don't want you to go on forever, but they want a full picture, and yeah, so we in our company, we had like I think it was a 2-day thing where we took assessments and everything to determine what color personality we were. And then along with each of those 4, it gave tips on what they like to receive as far as communication styles. And then they actually had us put that color dot on the back of our ID badge. So even if you walked up to somebody, you could see what they were, and you could cut your story from, I was going to give it a story, to I'm going to give them a snapshot,
Oh,
anyway.
Wow. Yeah, we haven't done that.
It has helped.
I bet it did. I actually heard from a good friend of mine who's working for Lego, that they've had all types of assessments, even during the recruitment process. And when the candidates took the tests, the MBTI, the Big Five, and so on, then pretty much the insight from that was used to assign them to different teams in order to, get people with compatible personalities working together.
Yeah, it helped to share that everyone is valuable and everyone contributes, and that it's, everyone is productive. It's just in different ways, and that it takes both kinds to get things done, because sometimes the red person is charging ahead and the blue or yellow is going, did you test this scenario? Did you think about this? And then they go, oh yeah, that would have been a problem. Okay, let's pause a moment and go back to, so it was good too, because I think sometimes the quieter people like myself, some people may have judged me as not contributing, because in a meeting maybe I didn't speak up that much, and some of the other personalities did. But I may have been contributing a lot in written feedback and in what I actually do, you know. So it helped to realize that it takes all of us, you know, and to be respectful of each other. And that the key is to have good communication, not necessarily, you know, my way or the highway, you know. So
Karen,
Yeah, well said.
If I apologize for interrupting. I just would like to bring that back to the topic, just because you know, we have only 15 minutes left, and I would like to make sure that we do. No, because what you're mentioning, actually, both of you, is that it takes wisdom to know that, like you mentioned, a quiet person can contribute, and actually very often contribute as much, if not better. Again, based on the experience and based on observing, instead of making assumption that only the one who speaks the most has the most important information. So knowledge is useful. At the same time, it's not enough. And connecting the dot is being able to say, yes, but remember when we had Karen on this topic, even though we didn't hear so much from her, then at the end of the day, without the very valuable information that she provided, we were able to. This is what I'm trying to say. Is like, it's more about, you know, balancing all the information and the elements, and then at the end of the day, making a bigger pictures. Does that make any sense?
Yes, absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to hopefully what you all gonna kind of contribute to at the moment is, okay, so this is just to, did you ever hear the speech of Steve Jobs, the Harvard commencement speech?
Not really.
No.
Because he mentioned that. He's the one who mentioned you cannot connect the dot looking forward. So for some of us, you know, and I understand that if you're busy working, sometimes taking a bit of time to look back in order to see how everything in our life did connect. There is very little of our life that just happened randomly. Normally, it's the connection, it's the result, is the, you know, if I look back at how I got into Power to Fly, I knew one of the founding members, I got the information to LinkedIn, and then another thing led me to Limo, and another thing led me, everything is connected. And sometimes we don't realize how those dots connect. And to continue on what Yvonne, are you still there? She's still there? Yvonne? I guess she stepped out. She was talking about sharing wisdom. She's still here or she's not there?
I'm still here.
Okay, so now we go to the
Peter has
sharing
a
wisdom.
mind of his own
Now,
today.
friends, in the 21st Psalm, we've labeled this a messianic psalm. Now, it's not so called
Okay, something is happening.
that I gave at the beginning.
Sorry, my computer is going
It
crazy
is
today.
not quoted as
It's an interesting one. Lily, you want to share? So those of you who haven't spoken, unless you really don't want to speak, Monica, you want to say something? Okay, because I don't see even the mute things. So here comes the most interesting part for us, is that at the end of the day, all the knowledge we have, and Yvonne was mentioning it, all that experience and current days, how do we share it? And what I like about, so when you look at these pictures, what comes to your mind? Because everybody will see something different. How do you interpret that pictures?
Looks like the person on the left is talking a lot and all over the place, but maybe they're connecting the dots, and the other person has three key topics, but is not really connecting them.
Okay, that's an interesting interpretation. Eliana, do you have the same interpretation?
I think the one person who wants to talk about something that goes around and around, doesn't make a clear point, and then the other one has picked up only certain things of what this person is saying, but the person with the three dots on the head is like understanding, okay, this person is saying this, and that's what I pick, but they just go on and on and on about it. It's like, that's what I understand from this image.
Okay.
Yeah,
Really?
for me, it's the essence of
Wait a minute.
brainstorming, actually, because some of us and some personality types tend to think better when they speak, even when they ramble, even when they vent. They need that verbal expression to think things through, to feel things. and the person on the right is probably the one who helps them untangle their train of thought.
That's
my
an interesting one. You kind of get closer to my own interpretation. Limo, do you have any things to? Did you see something different or the same?
I mean, the initial thing that I saw here was that the white person is like a therapist, some kind of therapist, and is listening to the blue person. And the blue person has a mess in her head about so many things, and the therapist is helping her to untangle and to see a clear picture of what is going on in her head.
Okay, Lily, are you still there? Can you still talk? What comes to your mind when you look at the picture?
Oh yeah. I think from the face of the woman on the left, it seems that he feels sorrow or she's crying. So she's trying to speak something, but without any logical way. So the woman on the right, she just put different information into different box. He's more calm down.
Okay. Anybody else on the call that would like on the Zoom call that would like to share something before I'm Aliana, did you speak? I don't know if you spoke.
I spoke. It's just, is this related to this image or
yes, to this image? So
yeah, I think it's very interesting the fact that we've got the patient and then the doctor or the patient is the person who has a confused thought, and then the therapist is the one who's going to untangle the patient's thoughts and make them a bit more concrete and more clear.
Now,
that's a very good.
Ladies, how did you come up with the idea that there's a therapist and that somebody is having problems?
I find that very clever, actually. I think that's spot on, to be honest.
No, but what I'm saying is that there is nowhere written therapist and patient.
I know it's not. It's just the way people see it, you know?
It's the interpretation. And that's one of the risks. This is, there's a difference between observing and interpreting. And just, that is a bit of a parenthesis, but this is something, I told you that I was actually, one of the activities that I have is coaching with horses. And it's always the same. You cannot take people to just observe horses in a field. And just if you have an image of a horse in the field and you see a horse grazing, what comes to your mind? That he's hungry.
Yeah.
Right? Well, a horse pretty much eats 14 hours a day. He's not hungry. It's just part of this. Or if you see horses together or not together, you will interpret and say they don't like it, they don't like me. We don't know. And it's very often not the case. Like, when we discuss interrupting is rude, well, not from the person who does it, unless it's a rude person. But from all of us who will interrupt, we don't mean it to be rude. We just mean it to talk. So here is the reason I saw this a while ago, and then I thought, this is my illustration of wisdom. And yes, very often it comes with experience and maturity. How often have you sat with a friend who comes with a lot of issues? They don't need therapy. They just have all these tangled issues. They don't see out of, I got the boss, I got my client, we're going to stick to work today, okay? But it's the same thing if you want to go for private life. I don't know how to talk to this person. He's blue, I'm yellow, I'm green. And then somebody who at that moment is more detached from the situation, is helping you. So that woman on the right with the white shirt is pretty much taking what the blue lady has in her head and making it clear. She doesn't interpret, she just helps her get it out of the untangle. So those of you who look at the tangle thing, and this is for me what sharing wisdom is. It's easier when we're outside, and we always need someone who's going to help us untangle our confusion once in a while. Does it make any sense?
Yeah.
So, whenever we kind of support each other, and yes, because one of the things, and I didn't want to go that way though so much because all of you are very young, but one of the biggest issue of the work field at the moment is the aging population. There's a lot more, and there used to be a time when people retired at 60 and had 10 to 20 years max to live, and that was it. So you had a chance to really, go fishing and go do whatever. Today, there is a chance that many of you will live easily until 90s and 100s. So if you retire at 60, they need to get busy for 40 years. hopefully. And the question is, how do you do that? And there is a big need today, and this is also one of the mentoring that Limo is organizing for the more mature generation, the one who has done all the mistakes on the things, to share their knowledge and their experience with the younger one. And there is very often what they call, I don't know if this is the right word anymore, but cross mentoring or support mentoring, when a young person will support the older one with some of the skills and vice versa. So one of the situation, and what I find interesting is very often the young person doesn't realize that he or she needs some support. Those of you unaware, on the first webinar I did, there was a story of a gentleman who fell into a hole and he couldn't get out of the hole. And he asked for help, and different people tried to help him, but they didn't get, any fun, until one guy jumped into the hole with a friend. And then the guy who was in the hole said, "Are you crazy? Now we're both stuck in the hole." And the friend said, "Yes, but I've been in it before and I know the way out." And I think for many people that are a bit more mature than the average millennials or even the X, I think this is X. No, it's not. Which one is the 40 years old? It's X? I'm getting confused. But anyway, the one below the boomer. It's like, we've been in the hole, we've been going through crisis, and those of you who went through the COVID pandemic and managed to survive it, you acquire some knowledge and wisdom that you can share for the next pandemic, because there might be another one next time. So the whole idea is, what did you learn? And how can you use that first to connect the dots within your own life? So when you're kind of in difficult time, remember on how you managed to survive the difficult time. And then when you meet someone who's got a pretty much tangled situation, how can you have that person untangle their confusion? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Is that something that is a new approach for you, or that you thought about it before?
No, not new at all.
Okay. So it's nice to be reminded that this is beneficial to learn how to balance things out, right?
Yeah.
Now, since we're coming to the end, and I know Limo likes to keep things right on track, do you have any question regarding what we've done so far? Question? Is it all clear? So here's what I would like to challenge you with. Wisdom, as we discussed, is something that needs to be applied. So whatever knowledge, whatever information you have, and those of you who very, kindly shared your knowledge of either different kind of communication type or kind of experience at work, how often do you really take the time to think, okay, this is what I've learned today, or this is what I came to my mind today. How can I apply that? What I understand that Karen has learned through the different colors, to just look at people and try to adjust her style to the communication of the person. Right, Karen? Are you still there?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so
I found it helpful.
Exactly. So my challenge to all of you, for those of you who would like it, is to think about any, ongoing situation that you could practice in order to continue working on your wisdom, to continue helping yourself support in many ways your objective, and then how can you share it? Do I make any sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for those of you who would like and be comfortable, if you would like to tell us now, I'm still curious why you signed up on this webinar today. And if you kind of heard something or shared something today that you find useful, beneficial, valuable. If that's okay with you, it would be nice to do a quick round table, starting with Martha, who usually is very open to share things. Martha, why did you sign up, and what was the benefit of today's webinar for you?
I think it's mainly because I'm becoming a mentor, or I'm being asked to be a mentor more often right now. So I thought it could be useful to gain some new insights and improve my skills in that matter. That's
did you-
pretty much why I'm
And did
here.
you get something out of it that will help you in that direction?
I think so. I think so. I'll definitely try to introspect and to find some practical lessons for me from ongoing situations, from issues that happen for me or for my colleagues, or some hardships that they're going through.
Okay,
And
Marta,
I need to
cut you short. Marta, I need to cut you short
sure.
because we're definitely short of time. So if you
Okay.
don't mind, please you can send us an email or a chat later. Eliana, anything else that you would like to contribute?
I just want to say I found very interesting what you said about interrupting, because at my work I have this issue. I always would interrupt people, and I'm surrounded by English people who find it so rude. So now I just have to digest this inside me and just try to take it in another way and understand how and when to stop and when to hear, because that's wisdom as well, to stop and listen to what other people have to say.
And yes, and you're welcome to ask either Limo or I about any follow-up question if you have specific question to kind of continue on that. Karen,
Thank
you
you
want to
very
share something? Karen? Hello.
It was a good refresher to key in on the key features of wisdom, and we're really short on my team right now, and we're going to get one or possibly two new people who will be shadowing me in everything I do, which I really don't like. So this was kind of like taking a breath and a pause to realize these new people will be here to help me and learn how to, communicate well with them. So
Very nice.
So thank you.
Lily, you want to say something?
Okay. Well, I think I impressed a lot because about the picture of the two girls just now. Yeah, because now I am the girl on the left, so I have some problem, and the information is not so clear. So I think it's a good way to talk with people and make people help me to make things clear.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I think if I can close it on this, ladies, we're all here to help each other. That's one of the benefits of this Power to Fly, group and community. Feel free to ask for support, for help, for feedback, because it's about sharing wisdom, knowledge, and support. On these notes, I really want to thank you for having been part of this event. I want to thank Limo for hosting it and allowing me to kind of share with you that information. As we said at the beginning, you're welcome to contact Limo or me. You will get the PowerPoint. And I thank you very much, and I wish you a good rest of the evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Corinne, as always. And thank you, everyone, for participating.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good rest
Thanks
of the
a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
ciao.